How do consulting job interviews work and how can you prepare for it? Hi everyone, my name is Johannes and welcome to this channel. Welcome to Mastering Consulting. On this channel, I want to share my own learnings from my own experiences in management consulting to help you to be successful in management consulting while also living a balanced life. And if you're new to this channel, then please make sure that you subscribe to it. Also, please leave a thumb up and hit the bell. This will help you that you don't miss any new video here that can help you to become more successful in consulting. And today we have a very essential topic. We will talk about how interviews in management consulting look like and how you can prepare for it. So if you want to get into management consulting, you're obviously asking yourself, how do these consulting interviews actually work and how can I prepare for it? And this was pretty much the same question that I had when I wanted to join management consulting up until I had the first own interviews. And what I did to prepare for my own interviews was back then to read all the books out there, to really take a lot of time to prepare for it. And at the end, I was successful and landed my job in management consulting. Now, after 4 years, I have much more experience. I have conducted many interviews myself. I also helped many people to prepare for the interviews and actually to get through the interviews. So I was able to actually understand how those interviews really work and what you can do to be successful in it. So today I want to give you an overview. So we will talk about the most important aspects of job interviews in consulting. We will talk about why they are important and how you can prepare for it. But let's start with the question, why are those interviews so important for consulting firms? And think about what makes a company successful. So if you think about very successful companies, they probably have a very good product. And to have a good product, those companies probably invest a lot of money into R&D, into the production and into quality management, for example. And they really have to invest a lot of money in order to have good products and to compete in the market. Now, think about what is the product in management consulting. So at the end, they do projects and they sell solutions to certain business problems. And what they actually do at the end is that they sell consultants, okay? Because they typically sell a project team for a certain amount of time and they charge per day. So at the end, they sell a solution, but what that really means is that they sell a consulting team. So they sell consultants for a certain amount of time. And this means at the end that in order to have the best product and in order to be competitive, consultancies actually have to get the best people. And that's the reason why they put so much effort in those job interviews in order to get the right people. So as you probably know, consultancies are very selective in terms of recruiting and hiring. And also they want to have as many data points about their potential candidates as possible. You know, because, and this is very different to other professions, like if you want to become a doctor, if you want to become a lawyer, or if you want to become an engineer, for example, their academic results give a pretty good indication how good you will perform in your job. In consulting, it's different, because it's not so important what kind of technical knowledge you have and skills you have. It's much more important that you're able as a consultant to solve very complex products that are new to you. And that's why it is so important for consultancies to test your problem-solving abilities, because this is something that you cannot see in any CV. So that's why consultancies invest a lot of money into recruiting. They have very long and very sophisticated interview days. So at the end, they really want to find out if you are the personality that really fits into management consulting and if you're good in problem solving. But how do these job interviews actually look like? As said at the beginning, I will give you a short introduction today, so we will only talk about the main points. Also, I have to say that each consulting firm has their different style of doing interviews and their different structures. But at the end, the main points and the most important aspects of job interviews are always the same across all the consultancies. If you want to get me into more detail about certain aspects in future videos, then please leave a comment below and let me know. But let's start talking about job interviews in management consulting. And there are three main parts that you have to know. It's first, the personal interview. It's second, the brain teasers. And it's third, the case studies. And we will talk about each of those aspects in detail. So let's first talk about the personal interview. And this is a very typical job interview, as you also know it from other firms and other industries. And at the end, what a consultancy tries to find out, they want to know what kind of person you are. They want to know what your motivation is, if you really fit into the consulting world. And also they want to do the airport test. So they want to know that if your flight got cancelled and if you have to spend a couple of hours with your project team on the airport, if you are the kind of person that people really want to spend time with. And that's why this personal interview is also very important in management consulting. So there are mainly three types of questions that you can get asked in those interviews. So first of all, it are personal questions. So typically people want to know about your background, maybe about your personality, and just want you to talk about a little bit about yourself so they can get to know you a bit better. So the second category of questions that they typically ask are questions about your motivation. So they want to know why you want to join consulting. They obviously also want to know why you want to join a specific firm. So be aware of that and prepare for those questions. And the third kind of questions are challenging questions. And those are typical questions where they want to see how you react if you are faced with a challenging question. And such questions, for example, could be what was your biggest failure, maybe your weaknesses, or maybe if you applied, for example, to other firms or they ask you about uncomfortable situations. In order to prepare for those interviews, you obviously can prepare for the most common questions. That is certainly something that you can do. But I want to highlight that the most important thing is that during the interview that you really try to be yourself. Try to stay professional, really try to stay calm and try to answer all the questions in the best possible way while having fun doing it. Let's talk about this second interview category, and those are brain teasers. So why do consultancies use brain teasers in their job interviews? So what they want to do is that they want to find out about your ability to solve very complex and tricky issues. And they also want to see how you think and how you approach problems where you don't know the answer at the beginning. So there are typically three types of brain teasers. So the first category are small riddles, like what occurs once every minute, twice in every moment, yet never in 1,000 years. So if you know the answer to this one, then please write it in the comments. So this could be a typical riddle or brain teaser question. So another typical brain teaser are estimation questions. So for example, how many ping pong balls do fit in a car? This is also a very typical question that you can be confronted with. And the third category are creativity questions or simple math problems. So for example, you could be asked, what are 10 things that you can do with a sponge, for example? Or they could also ask you a math question like, what is 7 times 123? The thing here is that those questions typically hit you in a very unexpected way, so be aware of that this can happen all of the time. So how can you practice for it? Of course, you have to practice. And the key thing here is just, to get in a habit or to kind of train yourself to get confronted with this kind of very unusual questions and to don't freak out, but rather to have a calm approach. And let's talk about the third and the main category of any consulting job interview. Let's talk about case studies. And what consultancies actually want to do is that they want to check how you would solve business problems. And this means that you basically always do three things. So first of all, you structure a problem. Second, you analyze the problem. And third, you communicate your solution. And the thing is that this is exactly the approach that real consultants actually use on their project. And this is why this part of the interview is always so important, because this gives a very, very good indication of how you would do in your actual consulting job. So how do those case studies actually look like? So it always starts that you get confronted with a business problem. So for example, the interviewer says, we have a client and this client is maybe in the sports industry and wants to find ways to increase profitability. Then the second step is that you provide a structure. And if we talk about profitability cases, it's always pretty much the same. You say, okay, profit is the sum of revenues minus costs. And then you could also say, okay, there are several revenue positions and there are several cost positions. And this would give you a structure to solve the problem. Then the third step is that you ask questions to get a better understanding and to also get some numbers. So you could ask about the revenue side, maybe some cost positions, you could ask about recent developments, and this is more like an explorative approach where you really try to find out what is the core of the problem and you try to get some ideas how you could solve the problem. Then the next step is that you think about solutions. Okay, maybe you say there are certain cost positions that the client could reduce, maybe there are certain product lines that the client should more focus on in order to increase profitability. And then you also do some calculation. Okay, so you at the end want to provide a solution that says, okay, those are the 5 measures that I suggest in order to increase profitability, and this is roughly the profit that I would expect through it. And this can be a typical case question, and at the end of it you have to present your solution, and that's the last part of a case study. Now, this might sound a bit complicated at the beginning, but believe me, after some practice it becomes easier and easier. And also it's a good test if you actually like being a management consultant, because those are the kind of problems that we solve on a daily basis. So if preparing for those cases and if doing those cases makes fun to you, then this is a good indication that you probably will also like being a management consultant. So how can you prepare for those case studies? Basically what you have to do is to practice, practice, practice. If we talk about practice, then I see 3 levels. So the first one is that you buy 1 or 2 case preparation books, like Case in Point for example, and really work through it. This is level number 1. Level number 2 is that you also join some online platforms like Victor Cheng for example, or Prep Lounge. Those are platforms that help you or provide additional resources to prepare for those case studies. And the third level is that you invest money on a one-on-one coaching, and there are many resources out there that help you to kind of simulate the interview situation, and this is also something that you can do. For example, my friends of In and Out offer such a service. So do you have experience in consulting interviews? Then please let me know in the comments. Also, if you like the video, then please subscribe to it, hit the bell button and leave a thumb up. This will help you that you don't miss any new video here coming out. And with that being said, I hope this brought value to you. Hope you have a very successful day. Talk to you very soon. Goodbye, Johannes.